Earth and Space Science, first semester, we talk about mapping and meteorology, so weather, climate. And then second semester, we go over geology and space. So that's the Earth and the space component. What you're looking at right here is Canvas, and the entire course is hosted on Canvas. Canvas is an LMS, a learning management system that many high schools use and colleges as well. I also teach Earth and Space Science at Moraine Valley, and Moraine Valley does use Canvas. So if these students are going to Moraine, they'll have a good one up on how the system actually works. I've been using it for quite a while. You'll notice my layout's a little bit different than the students. You can access a student's Canvas, but you'll need their login information, which is not the same as Skyward. But there's nothing to hide here. And actually, I would hope you would actually get into there and then take a look at how the course is set up and where you'll find certain things. On the side panel, you'll see a syllabus where you can find this video as well as the course syllabus. On the home page, there'll be this banner. Click on the banner. It takes you to the modules. And modules are where the units are set up. This course runs a little bit different than many other courses. It's asynchronous, it's mastery based, it's goal driven. And so I'll kind of talk about that as I walk you through the modules and what that really means. So your first unit is cartography. And you'll notice in the intro, I'll always put a pacing guide. And the students can print this off, so they have a hard copy of it. I do have a big poster of it in the classroom, but they can access the digital copy here, which I will also send out in an email at the end or beginning of every unit, I should say. But this tells you what we're doing per day. For example, you can see what's going on these certain days. You can see what's assigned throughout the weeks. The entire unit is already planned out all the way through the end. So in this particular unit, this ends on September 8th. This one will be testing. Everything is here. I will open up those modules in Canvas ahead of time. I may open up the entire unit ahead of time. The students are allowed to work at their own pace. That is what the asynchronous means. We're not like doing something very specific on a day and then grading it on that day and then going to something specific the next day. It's all here. There's not a lot of direct instruction, which means I will not be lecturing for like 40 minutes. I might talk 5 or 10 minutes, and then I will set the students loose into working on the modules, the stuff that's in the pacing guide. Direct instruction is embedded within many of these units. So I will actually go over how to do things in a video for them. That way they can watch it multiple times, or if they're working ahead, they can get into it while I'm actually trying to teach a concept. So even though I might be teaching for a few minutes in the beginning of the class, they'll be working on the modules. I will be doing small groups for students who need extra help or whatever, or individual help, whatever it might be. I will be working in small group, getting those students caught up or getting them the assistance they need while everybody else can kind of work ahead. As I mentioned, things are already published in here or in Canvas, but everything is due by the end of the week. So even though students might be ahead of schedule, they might be behind schedule, they're still due by Friday. So we're all going to end up in the same point by the end of the week. You notice that we have these win days built in. I try to build these in on Wednesdays, and win means whatever I need or whenever I need, basically a catch-up day. These are good days for students to wrap things up from the first couple days. It's a good day to ask for help, come to small group, or it's a good day for them to actually catch up. Okay, or not catch up, sorry. It's a good day for them to actually work ahead of schedule. That way, by the end of the week, they're pretty good to go. So they know if they're not going to be here, they can kind of work ahead, or if they want to keep working into the next units, they can as well. So pacing guides are very helpful. Once again, I'll email those out so you know what's going on per day. But it's really good to get an idea like, hey, what are you actually working on, and kind of keep up with what the students are doing. Everything, once again, is in the modules. So how it works, that's where the pacing guide is. That's what I just showed you. So how this will work is that it's the very beginning of the subunit. For example, latitude and longitude is the subunit. The overall unit is called cartography, science of mapping. So we have something called latitude and longitude quick look. And what that is, it's basically a pre-quiz. And it's not going in for a grade, but it's 10 questions. Sometimes students already have the background information here. So what this allows them to do is if they score an 80% or better, they can actually skip the assessments. Okay, and these are called U-picks. Those are the assessments. So for example, here they are. So if they score an 80%, they can move right to the class activities, which everybody has to do anyway, and then the lab. And then once you're done with that, they will move over to the quiz. Now, the quiz, this is the mastery-based portion of it. So they must score a 70% or better in order to move on to the next subunit, all right? So if they score like a 7, 8, or 9, or 10, this next module will open up. You notice it says prerequisite. It's locked until they actually score that amount. That is mastery based. I don't believe in moving ahead unless they actually understand the material. There's no point in moving ahead if they don't understand what they just learned. So, well, what if they don't meet mastery? They got to go back in, do another U pick. You notice it says choose one. So they'll pick a different one. They'll go back in, and then they'll retake the quiz. If they still don't do it, got to go back in, do another U pick, retry the quiz. Hopefully, after 2 or 3 times, they get it. If they don't, they exhaust all the U picks. They'll be working with me one-on-one to figure out what they're not quite getting. Hopefully, we'll get them out, and then we'll get them into the next subunit. And then the other subunits work the same way. Quick looks, there's the U picks, the assessments, the class activities, and the labs. By the time they are ready to take the test, it's been mastery based. They should have a pretty good idea of what the material is. There'll be a pre-test. They'll take a pre-test. They'll actually record that score. Based off of their pre-test, they're going to set a goal for their test, and we'll hold them to that goal. So we'll say, hey, here's a test. I want to score an 80%. Okay, that's your goal. So now you've set your goal, and then you'll take the test. If you hit your goal or exceed it, you'll get extra credit. If you don't, you get one more attempt. Okay, and that one attempt will take the highest score, but at least they'll have an idea about what they need to look at and study from. They have up until the next unit is over to actually retake that second test, but that's what'll happen. And then after the unit's over, they'll move on to the next unit, which would be like meteorology or seasons. So if we look, I know I talked about direct instruction. You're like, well, what if they don't really understand? Like, you're not teaching directly to the class. As I mentioned, there are direct instruction things embedded within the actual unit. So, for example, degrees in minutes, kind of tricky concept. But right here is a video tutorial of me teaching degrees in minutes. And so they'll press that, and then it'll be me going through how to do that. So yes, there's direct instruction. It's just not direct instruction en masse, because some students understand it more quickly. Some need more help. So I want to make sure that the ones who need more help, I can assist them and we can move them forward, but they can always go back in and watch those videos. Besides that, everything else is laid out here, but that's how the class runs. If you have any questions, by all means, you can always email me, cmilo@d230.org. Look forward to a great year. Take care.